Even though Bluey has stopped airing, the slip-ups inside keep multiplying, as if the show is still glitching in real time. 1. The floating airport sign. In Curry Quest, Bandit and Bingo head to the airport, and for a moment, everything looks fine. But take another look at the building. The big sign on top isn't attached to anything at all. It just hovers in the sky like a UFO advertisement. No wires, no support, nothing. Just a floating word defying gravity. Either the healer world has invented anti-gravity signage, or the animators let this one slip. Whatever the case, it feels more paranormal than domestic travel. 2. Mackenzie's ghost arm. In Shop TV, Bandit goes to collect Bluey, and Mackenzie is busy playing near the fountain. Everything looks cheerful until his arm betrays reality. It doesn't stop at the stone edge. It slides right through it, like the fountain is made of fog. For a split second, Mackenzie stops being a playful pup and turns into a ghost child phasing through solid matter. Either he's hiding secret superpowers, or the animators glitched, but the result feels more haunted than wholesome. 3. The traveling chalk stick. In Tradies, Bingo is happily drawing on the sidewalk with her colored chalk. Everything looks normal, with the blue stick sitting neatly beside her. But then, the camera angle changes, and suddenly, the chalk is no longer where it was. It has jumped to the opposite side as if it decided to take a little walk on its own. Nobody picked it up, nobody nudged it, it just teleported across the scene. 1 second it rests by her right, the next it lounges on her left. Forget toys coming alive. The chalk is clearly the real escape artist here. 4th Chili's vanishing snout. In one frame, Chili looks perfectly normal. Then, her nose slips out of place like it is tired of being attached to her face. Her markings twist too, turning her into a half-finished art project. For a moment, she looks less like a cartoon mom and more like a cubist painting hanging in a museum. It is quick, but it is jarring. 1 second she is Chili, the next she looks like her own abstract fan art. 5. Bluey's detaching nose. During the waitress game, Bluey takes an order with full focus. Everything is fine until her nose decides it has had enough of working overtime. It drifts away from her face like it is clocking out early. For that instant, Bluey stops looking like a cheerful pup and starts looking like a floating puzzle piece. No magic spell, no dream sequence, just an animation slip where her snout stages a walkout. Even body parts in Bluey know how to quit mid-shift. 6. The haunted cinema wall. At the movies, Bandit and the kids head for snacks. Behind them is a red wall lined with posters. Simple enough. But when they return later, the same wall is turned purple, and the posters have completely changed. One moment, it is a fairy tale adventure. The next, it is a detective dog drama. Nothing else in the scene moves, not even the staff. The wall just repaints itself like it has a ghost redecorator working overtime. Spooky and hilarious at once. 7th, Bandit's disappearing feet. In Hotel, Bandit stands ready to play. But for one bizarre second, his feet are gone. He is not standing anymore. He is hovering like a dad discovering zero gravity in his own living room. The rest of him looks completely normal, which makes it even stranger. Did he finally master levitation? Or did his feet just sneak off for snacks? Either way, it turns Bandit into the first dad to float on screen without meaning to. 8. Sparky without a tail. In Tradies, Sparky the old worker dog appears, ready to ask for ice cream. But wait, his tail has vanished. No wagging, no stub, nothing at all. For a few frames, he looks like someone forgot to finish drawing him. The missing tail makes him look oddly bare, like he left part of himself at home. It is a tiny mistake, but it completely changes his look. Instead of the reliable tradie, he suddenly feels like a dog fresh out of a spooky experiment. 9. The multiplying shelf. In Bedroom, Bluey finally gets her own space. At first, the bedside has a single small shelf with a lamp on top, but when the angle changes, another shelf magically appears beside it. Later, it vanishes again, only to return in the final scene when Chili sets it up properly. It feels like the animators used future footage too early. Instead of one cozy corner, Bluey temporarily had a portal to a parallel universe filled with extra furniture. 10. The stuffed animal vanish. In Magic Xylophone, Bandit is frozen mid-game with toys stacked in his arms. When he unfreezes, the animals tumble to the ground, scattered everywhere. But moments later, when Bluey stands in the exact same spot, every single toy has disappeared. No mess, no cleanup, just gone. It is like the plushies rolled out on strike and left the scene. Either Bandit tidied faster than the speed of light, or the toys decided they had better things to do. 11. The dry water hose. Also in Magic Xylophone, Bandit gets frozen while holding a running garden hose. Water is clearly spraying, but here's the strange part. The ground stays perfectly dry. No puddles form, no mud, not even a single drop sticks. The water simply vanishes into thin air, like it is being swallowed by an invisible black hole in the backyard. For a second, Bandit looks less like a tired dad and more like a secret waterbender, with powers switched to stealth mode. 12. The vanishing doll. In Weekend, Bluey clutches a doll that looks oddly like strawberry shortcake in bright shoes. It is there when Bandit walks into the room and she holds onto it through the serious talk with Chili. But the second Bandit leaves, the doll is gone. It doesn't tumble to the floor or slip behind her. It just disappears as if it never existed. The moment shifts from ordinary family tension to something that feels paranormal. One instant, Bluey is hugging her toy. The next, it has abandoned the scene completely. Like even dolls can't handle the healer household drama. 13. The mothers flip around. In Shadowlands, the kids play a game of sticking to tree shadows while their mums relax nearby. At first, Snickers and Coco's mums face the kids. Then the shot changes, and suddenly, both mums have their backs turned. They did not move, they did not stand up, they simply rotated like mannequins. It makes the scene look eerily unnatural, as if the adults were replaced by cardboard cutouts. The kids may be stuck in shadows, but the real glitch is their parents. 14. Jack and Winton trade places. At Rad and Frisky's wedding in The Sign, Calypso tells a story while the kids sit and listen. Look closely at the seating. First, Winton is in the front row with Jack behind him, next to the terriers. Then the shot changes, and suddenly, Winton is in Jack's seat while Jack is pushed further back. The swap happens instantly with no explanation. Either the kids are secretly playing musical chairs, or the animators shuffled the seating chart by mistake. 15. The flying envelope. In dance mode, the healers are at the post office when a dog in the background clutches a letter. The paper seems normal until Bingo's dance spell takes effect. Suddenly, the envelope lifts into the air, twirling like it has joined a ballet class. It floats for a moment before snapping back into the dog's paw as if nothing happened. No wind, no hands, just a piece of mail auditioning for a circus act. Pure postal mystery wrapped in slapstick. 16. The wandering eye patch. In Spy Game, Chili shows off a new trick. Though she probably didn't plan it, her brown eye patch begins on the right side of her face. Then, with no warning, it jumps to the left. For a second, she looks like she swapped identities with her mirror reflection. It is not a disguise, it is just a classic animation slip. The result makes her look like a spy who cannot decide which side of her face to hide. 17. The shifting eyebrows. In The Beach, Bluey runs around having the time of her life. But mid-scene, her yellow eyebrows vanish and suddenly turn blue. It is a tiny detail, yet it changes her entire expression. She goes from bright-eyed to oddly blank in one frame. It is almost as if her eyebrows took a quick swim of their own. The whole moment feels less like a fun beach day and more like a makeover gone wrong with invisible paint. 18. The sliding fur patch. In Christmas Swim, the Healer family is enjoying the pool while Muffin throws herself into a pretend office role. At first, everything about her design looks the same as always, but suddenly, her facial markings betray her. The dark patch that usually begins at her eyes has slipped down toward her cheek, leaving her looking strangely off. For a few frames, it is like Muffin has experimented with bold, uneven makeup. The effect is brief, but it is distracting. One moment she is her normal self, the next she is a pup, testing out crooked contouring techniques. 19. The extreme tan. At the mall, Stripe shows up looking suspiciously darker than usual. His fur is so overcooked, it seems like he fell asleep under the sun for a week without sunscreen. Next to him, Trixie looks perfectly fine, which makes Stripe's sudden color change stand out even more. It does not look like shading. It looks like someone swapped his palette. The scene makes Stripe look less like a dad shopping and more like a burnt marshmallow on two legs. 20. The bald moment. In Horsey Ride, Bandit is dragged into the kids' pretend wedding as their loyal horse. Everything looks ordinary until a strange blink and you'll miss it glitch strikes. His dark head patch, the one detail that defines his look, vanishes completely. Suddenly, his whole scalp is pale blue, giving the impression that he has aged 20 years in the space of a single frame. Bandit carries on as if nothing happened, but for viewers it is jarring. One second he is the same playful dad, the next he looks like a balding version of himself, caught in fast forward. Pure, accidental comedy gold. 21. The missing fur. Poor Bandit cannot catch a break. In one episode, his right cheek marking simply vanishes for a second. The little patch that makes him recognizably Bandit just disappears, leaving his face oddly plain. He looks unfinished, as if someone forgot to color him in. The marking returns almost immediately, but for that moment, Bandit looks less like himself and more like a knockoff version sold at a discount. It is a minor slip, changes his whole look. 22. The eyelash mystery. In Seesaw, Coco shows up looking fabulous, complete with long eyelashes that could sweep the playground. Then the scene cuts, and suddenly they are gone. No lashes, no glam, just plain eyes staring back. By the time the Seesaw play wraps up, the eyelashes reappear like they had only gone on a short break. Feels like Coco's lashes have their own contract, refusing to work full-time. One moment influencer, the next moment barefaced pup. 23. The vanishing bandage. In hospital, Bingo plays nurse and quickly wraps Bandit's arm with a bandage. Then Bluey pulls it off and tosses it aside. It does not slide, it does not fold, it simply disappears. The scene makes it look like the healer house has a portal that eats medical supplies. Instead of lying there on the floor, the bandage evaporates into nothing, leaving us wondering if even the props in Bluey are alive. 24. The sneaky X-ray. Also in hospital, Bluey tosses an X-ray drawing across the room. At first, it lands on the right side, but in the very next shot, it has magically switched to the left. Nobody touched it, nobody moved it, yet it slid across the room on its own. The strangest part is that everyone keeps playing as if nothing happened. Either the X-ray learned how to crawl, or the animators forgot which side of the screen it belonged on. 25. The book and shelf trick. In Ragdoll, the couch tells a whole story without meaning to. First, there is a pillow and a book. The book vanishes, leaving only the pillow. Seconds later, the book returns, but now its cover has drawings that were never there before. Then, the shelf behind them joins in, first filled with items, then completely empty, even changing its number of tiers. The entire room looks like it is glitching in and out of different dimensions, right before our eyes. 26. The teleporting fruit. During the kitchen play battle, Bandit hurls fruit at the kids. Among them is one innocent orange sitting in the basket. But when the camera cuts, the orange is gone. It does not roll. It does not bounce. It just vanishes, like it got stage fright. Seconds later, other fruit remains in place, making the missing orange even more suspicious. Instead of a snack, the scene looks like a magic act where produce decides to quit before the finale. 27. The dirt that disappears. In Magic, Bandit and Lucky's dad dig into the ground, dirt flying everywhere. Suddenly, the pile of soil vanishes completely. The ground looks perfectly clean, as if nobody touched it. Then, during their dance battle, the dirt returns like it remembered its wallet. The disappearing pile turns a normal digging scene into something supernatural. For a moment, it feels like the dirt itself has agency, sneaking out for a break before coming back to finish its role. 28. The wandering spray bottle. In Daddy Robot, the girls spray Bandit to shut down his robot mode. The spray bottle is clearly placed right beside him, but when the shot changes, the bottle has slid across the room to a new spot. Nobody moved it, and nobody noticed. It looks less like a toy and more like a prop that wanted its own dramatic entrance. A cleaning tool turning into a runaway actor proves even background objects want the spotlight in this show. 29. The missing hand. In Sheepdog, Bingo plays chef while Bandit pretends to be a sheep. Everything looks fine until Bingo reaches out, and suddenly her entire hand is gone. No paw, no fingers, just a blank stump for a moment. The hand reappears quickly, but it is enough to make the scene feel uncanny. Instead of serving leafy snacks, Bingo looks like she dipped into another dimension. It is a blink and you miss it error, but it leaves you wondering where her hand went. 30. The shifting spot. While jumping out of the family's imaginary carriage, Bingo is full of excitement. She leaps forward, tail wagging, but in one quick frame, something odd happens. The spots on Bingo merge into one, making her look oddly unfinished. A second later, the camera changes and the markings split back to normal. It is quick but distracting, as if her fur cannot decide how to arrange itself. The glitch turns her into a living coloring book, constantly redrawn mid-scene. And that's it. Bluey's world isn't as perfect as it looks, but maybe that's what makes it so fun to rewatch. Here's a question for you. Would Bluey still feel the same without these little errors? Or do they actually add charm? Let's argue it out in the comments, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next round.